is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, it's another great fall day. And one of the things that we're really looking forward to as we come into is an event actually my guest and I are both going to be speaking at, and it's for the Author U community. And we're going to be talking about a lot of marketing tools, tips, ahas leading to your author success. With me is one of my favorite geek girl, Kelly Johnson. And you can find her at cornerstoneva.com. And one of the critical things in marketing is to have a VA. I mean, I really absolutely believe it. And so what we're going to do is through our hour is talk about a variety of different tips that we have seen work for authors this year that you want to carry into the next year for your author success. And it's all going to be tying in with actually one of the last programs we're going to be doing for 2017 for the Author U community, which is involved what we call the 90-10 rule. The 10 part is the writing. The 90 is all the marketing and all the other doodads and gadgets that you're going to have to just get over it, stop your resistance, and go forward. So with me, as I said, is Kelly Johnson. I'm Judith Briles, the Book Shepherd. And so, Kelly, let's just kind of jump into this and get into this thing. And let me just kind of lead off to it, that what in the heck is author success? Yes. And I think that what's really important for all of us to understand is that author success has a different definition for a variety of you. If I got 20 authors in one room and I asked, what is success to you? One, maybe several will say, making a lot of money. Some of you will say, having the media call me, being recognized, maybe being recognized as an expert. How about having meeting planners call you and speak? Or maybe it's just the simple fact that you have finally completed your book, all right? So there could be a variety of things that would come together that what makes author success. But the first thing is you need to define what it is for you, because that's what's really important with that. So the 90-10 rule is 10 is you get it done. Now, if that's all you want to do, then maybe that's the 90 for you. But for most people, they want a little bit more than just writing the book. So that's what we're going to be covering in this part of it. And I think Kelly, I'm going to kick it off websites.
Okay.
Because I have always been fascinated with authors who are resistant to not even thinking about the website until after the book is done, which is nuts. which is nuts. All of you, it's nuts. That you need to really number one, you need to start marketing before you even have a book. I'm just going to say that. You need to start marketing. And one of the methodologies, the platform you're going to be doing this from is your website. So Kelly and I are going to go through some of the components your website's needs. I'll just throw the first one, besides having your name on it. So maybe, Kelly, we start with branding. How's that?
Sure.
All right. So the branding starts with you as your name. I know you've got your book title, but, if you're like the average author, there's more than one book in you.
Yes.
And they breed.
I was going to say books breed books.
Books breed books. So I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you have your website in your name. And if it's taken already, which happens, then maybe you put your name, author, or something like that. And then the next part of that is I'd like you to consider creating a tagline, what you are about. I'm about creating and delivering practical publishing advice. You will see that on my website when you go to thebookshepherd.com. If you go to judithbriles.com, it will go to the Book Shepherd. So everything leads to that. But my name is big and bold right at top on the upper part of the website, not buried. All right, Kelly, you want to add on to that?
Sure. And I love what you shared too, Judith, like you said, since we're talking about branding, that with having your name, prominent at the top, obviously, so people know, hey, this is who I am and learn about me. As you mentioned, really think about your tagline, because that's where you can also emphasize, as you were just very well stating, what your area of expertise is. And part of what I try to do in working with my clients, or if people are contacting me and asking me questions about their website or what's related to branding on their website, is I also want you to think about, when you have that tagline, obviously you're going to have a keyword or keyword phrase related to your area of expertise. So make sure that once you have that confirmed, go through your website and think of the other places on there where you can, make sure you're repeating that keyword phrase, or you're working it into the information that you have stated, on various pages on your site. One page in particular that I know a lot of us tend to forget to go back and review is your FAQ page. I mean, that's a perfect place to look and maybe do some updating and say, does this really reflect what I'm focusing on now, what my specialty area is? Have I got my keywords in here? Because that's where you're helping to address, once again, frequently asked questions that people want to know about you. So that's a great kind of starting point as well.
Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have one, maybe you might want to think about adding some frequently asked questions, because here's a little hint. You're going to get asked a lot of the same questions over and over again. And so you can just go in and do a happy dance and copy.
Yes. Exactly.
And which reminds me, I get asked a lot. I need to go back and readdress mine, even my own. The other thing I think would be a fun, because there's always an about. There is always an about. Okay, you're about. Is that, why don't you put some a segment up about fun facts about you?
Exactly.
Don't know, and what it does is it personalizes you.
Yes.
And that people connect, and it could be like when you read my facts, you'll learn that I actually won the big deal on Let's Make a Deal a zillion years old. Raggedy Ann. So and so share those kind of little tidbits. People like it. So Kelly, let's talk about the dashboard. What belongs on the dashboard, or the tabs? I'm not sure what the proper language is these days.
Well, essentially, and I believe what you may be referring to, people also use the term like the navigation or nav bar, at the top of your page.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially too, and once again, since we're talking about pages, just one tip that I like to, go ahead and have people think about as well is when you're looking at each page on your site. So obviously a great place, since we just mentioned starting with your navigation bar, is look at what they call above the fold, which means whenever you land on any page on your site, what is it, the content images that you have without having to scroll down the page? That's going to be the most important, or the focus that you want for each page on your site. So once again, kind of keep that in mind, that might be an opportunity as you're looking through each of the pages on your site. You might want to rework a little bit of what you have in that above the fold on each page. And this is another place where, Judith, since you mentioned the about page, in particular a moment ago, is a lot of times we will see people will just have the word about in their navigation bar. And once again, sometimes this is a great place where you might be able to work in and say about Judith Briles, and have your name be a little more prominent, so that once again, it's kind of being reiterated and it's, right there front and center in the navigation bar.
Right. And so, for example, years ago, I wrote a blog, Kelly, about it takes a village to create a book, to build your author success and things. So I actually have an advisory board that I work with. And if you go in on the bookshepherd.com website, under the About, there's a tab that will open up, and you will see advisory board. And Kelly's on my advisory board. And you will see several people whose names, by the way, you will recognize most likely, who
Yes.
I can call, if I'm stuck, and we all get stuck, let's face
Yes.
it. If I'm stuck, that I can call and say, hey, what do you think about this? So just a thought. I mean, you can do lots of things besides just being about you. You may want to add in some other things, but this is where that all the nav bars have about. I always wonder if you should put about and then your name on it. So Google pick it up. What do you think?
And that's where I was just mentioning too, exactly, that sometimes that's a great way for, as you said, for either the search engines, to be able to pick up and see where your name is being posted, since we're talking about your website in particular. That's a great way to have that there, in addition to making yourself stand out a little bit more.
Right. So you're a little bit different. So I think that's a great idea. So Kelly, let's do that on mine.
All right. Perfect. Exactly. See, and that's why I love these conversations. As you said, it's great when we have our support community or our advisory boards, because this is when we get to just have these discussions, bounce ideas off each other. And that's when some of this great, stuff just happens to be generated and developed.
So those are the things, that's one thing. So there's other things that belong on the nav bar. We're coming up really close to our first commercial break, but I want you to, then I'm just going to recap. Your name, you start with your brand, big, bold, come up with a tagline. There's a variety of resources that you can use, and Kelly and I will kiss on them when we come back from our break. But you can start developing those taglines. And then, have a picture. And since this is your website, dear author, I think you should be on it. And with that, let's take a quick break. This is Author You. You're going to be published.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? Author You will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at Author U and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we're talking about author success today, and really what will carry you into the gulp next year. I mean, it is stunning to think that we have 2 months left, basically.
I agree. How did that happen?
It is stunning to me. And that the whole essential of we're going back to some basic stuff here, that some people think they just need a Facebook page. No, you don't. Or they just need a couple of Instagram. No, you don't. What you really need is to have a whole home base. And that's what that website represents, because it really carries so much. And you can actually, you can be the maestro off of your website. I think that's the way to really think about it.
Absolutely. I love that, maestro.
The website maestro.
There we go.
So you can create your social media management off of it by, a couple of clicks. And certainly your blog should be, and we're going to come to blog here because it belongs on your nav bar.
Yes.
Those are essential. But I wanted to come back and give you a couple of ideas for looking for slogan generators. And there is something called a slogan generator.com, which is a free tool, and also sloganmania.com. And you really want to play with it. And then before you say, oh my gosh, this is the cat's meow, I want you to go over to another website, and we're going to do a copy paste, and it's AM Institute, AppleMaryInstitute.com, and you're going to do a click on their headline analyzer, and you're going to paste it in, and you're going to see what kind of emotional pull it has, either intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and that I want you to get at least a 40 score before you say, yes, this is it. This is because this is what people, number one, gravitate to. But also, since remember, your website is feeding Google. Google's a very hungry animal. And so when you use the right phrases, the right keywords that tie in with your expertise, your genre, what your books deliver to the reader, especially for your fiction people, that this will give you more juice in the search engines. Okay. Kelly, you want to add to that?
Sure. And actually, since we were just talking about also navbar, one other item I wanted to mention as well is when you're looking at your navigation bar, sometimes, as you've probably heard us share before, is we encourage you to purchase, multiple domains. Obviously, you'll, have a domain, as Judith was saying, maybe it's your name or it's your name, author.com. But we also encourage you to get domain names in your book title, if it's available, or your area of expertise. And don't forget that once you purchase those domains, you can actually have those directed to a specific page on your site. Because I know sometimes we tend to think, oh, if we're directing a domain name, it has to be to another full website. It can be to a specific page. So if you have the domain name of your book title, for example, you can go ahead and direct that to, when people type it in, to go to the book page on your website. So just remember to utilize all those great domains that you've been registering so that people have multiple ways to find you.
Oh, I love that idea. I think that's a great idea to have it go to a book page instead of the master website.
Exactly.
And that way you'll pick up juice, another way to pick up juice.
Exactly. That's right.
All right, so, Kelly, let's kiss blogs.
Yes.
Because the blog deserves its own tab.
It does.
And I know that I am seeing, that certainly this was the chit-chat I was getting back from other groups, that people sign up less for blogs now because people like you and me and a zillion other authors, just when we have a new blog up, we go out and we shout it out, new blog.
Right, exactly.
Whatever it's about. And you go out with that. So, but it's really important to have a blog page, certainly set it up for an RSS feed.
Yes.
You want to have it set up that people can make comments. But I think Kelly and I have had discussions this past week, even that people will, I did a blog on an off the topic, really, not about publishing per se, but it was called death cleaning. And yes. I came across a book that was published out of Sweden, and it's quite a hot topic, death cleaning. And the whole premise is, if your family and friends don't want it when you're alive, trust us, they're not going to want it when you're dead.
Right.
And so really looking at your clutter and some of the stuff you had. And it was very interesting, Kelly, as I was writing this, because I was out, I was on a writing retreat on a cruise. And I came across this, and I decided to write the blog, and my oldest daughter, who was with me, turned to me and she said, "Thank you." So
once again, see the results of comments that we get from blog posts?
But here's what happens a lot of times with blogs. People really resonate, and I had several comments from people. They actually email me directly instead of putting, which is really what you'd rather have them do.
Yes.
You'd rather have them put comments on your blog, because why? You get more juice in video. So, sometimes we'll go back when you copy and paste and put this on. But
yes.
Anyway, your blog is really important, and that's part of your branding. This is all part of your branding. So you may have your name in it. It may be part with your theme. You may have it snappy and sassy. I mean, I don't know. But we all have different things that we can do.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, Judith, I have a couple other tips, since we're talking about blogs, for people to make sure they're thinking about as well. To springboard some of off what you were saying, it is really important to have your blog posts because of different, not only for the search engines, but as Judith just shared, people, really it resonates. Certain blog posts will resonate with them and they want to reach out to you. This is also another great place, since we're talking about branding and your keywords. When you're working on your blog posts, any chance that you get to work in a keyword into your title and then obviously in the body of your blog, of course, we want you to make sure you're doing that. But another place that I think people tend to forget to do that as well is when you're uploading an image to your blog post. When you, especially on WordPress, since many of you use WordPress, when you upload that image, you'll see that there's a field that will say alt text, description and title that you can add for your images. That is another great place to make sure that you're working in a keyword or keyword phrase, because that will get picked up on the search engine. So I know sometimes, obviously, content is king. We all are familiar with that, and we want to focus on that. But we also need to remember that there's these other working components that are involved as well with your blog posts, and we want you to take advantage of that too.
So curious, Kelly, if you put in a keyword or phrase, or even your name, you could even put your name in if you wanted to, I guess. That is this what if someone went in and would that show up like on an image on a Google search or a Bing search?
Yes, it shows up on the images, because as you said, what a lot of times what people don't also tend to remember, because I know we're so always used to content, if you were just to go to google.com, there's actually an option where you can, on Google, search and pick for an image, where you can either put in like a URL or upload an image yourself and see what comes up. What might be interesting too, that I've had people do as an exercise at some of the workshops that I've taught, is go ahead and put your name in and, associate with your name and images and see what comes up. You might be surprised what will actually display with your name and images that, someone else might have, an image of you on their website and that comes up. So sometimes we forget the power of images and how they really do play a significant role on the internet.
Yeah, and images, that are huge. But let me come back to your alt text and your word phrase, what you're saying, as well as when you try to work in, make sure your keywords. I want to also encourage you to make sure in your first paragraph, like in the first 160 characters, get in a keyword or phrase. That again is SEO juice. This is the Google. You're feeding the Google engine.
Absolutely.
So those.
And I'm sorry. I was going to say one other tip too, since we're speaking about blogs, is, go back through and look at your past blog posts and see if there's ways that you can maybe just refresh them a little bit. Maybe once again, work in some new keyword or keyword phrases that you didn't in some of your past posts. And, go ahead and repurpose those out there, not only as maybe a little bit of an updated blog post, but look to see where you have under categories or similar under one topic, for example, on your blog, what are maybe, 3, 5, 10 blog posts that are all dealing with one category or topic? You can turn that into a mini ebook or turn that into some small books or other products. So just remember to go back and revisit those as well.
Right. So because once you've written it, you've written it. So how can you make it? I mean, because most of us I know to search for on my blogs, on my site, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the homepage. That's where the search stuff is. And so people are not going to be doing that. They're usually looking at the most current. So you could really take that. And here's another thing. Besides even making another product, maybe you're pooped. Maybe you're pooped. He's like, oh my God, am I going to, it's Monday. I've got to do another
right. Blog. I have to write another post.
My blog's fallen down and I can't get it up.
Right.
Here's what you could do. Just go back and look at some of your old ones. Maybe a blog you wrote a couple of years ago. This is the repurpose time. Mm-hmm. Freshen it up a little bit. Put another scenario story in. Use some different keywords that would tie into it and those phrases in there. Put a new title on it. And actually, you could keep the bulk of the content if it's still relevant. Maybe add an action, little, kick butt thing at the very bottom of it. And you have a new blog. And so you do that. The other thing we need to say about blogs for our next break here is that make sure that you're consistent. If you're going to do this every Tuesday, by God, you do it every Tuesday. I don't care what holiday falls in it. Make sure. And you shoot it up the same about time. You want to have good content in there, and you're committed to do this. Otherwise, your blog is going to fail very, very quickly. And also know that it's lonely for a while before you start building up a little steam. With that said, Kelly Johnson, my favorite girl geek, as well as a wonderful virtual assistant who's got.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingramspark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with print on demand, and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingramspark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingramspark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's Ingramspark.com.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, so we're talking about author success. Kelly Johnson, who specializes in virtual assistants and for authors. And one of the things we're talking about really essentials for your success. And even though you have a website now, have you looked it over lately? Have you thought about giving it maybe a little bit of a makeover? Has it become a wallflower? So what are some of the things you can do? So we mentioned, make sure you've got your branding of you as the author, add a tagline that ties in with your expertise. It will pick up the right keywords that you're looking for. How about if is your picture, is it current? And does it look like you? Kelly, isn't it amazing how many don't look like them?
Exactly, or it's just because, maybe it was a picture from 10 years ago. So, of course, we've all kind of changed over time. So, make sure you have that updated, picture. We want to see that gorgeous face of yours.
Yes. So that you want to make sure that you've got that and get a slogan, So we talked about those things. Now, other essentials were that you wanted to make sure that you got misspellings and other lookalikes and things. Like the other morning, I did a show a few weeks ago about the Booktoberfest that one of our sponsors, Thompson Shore, was doing, and I was up there speaking. It was a wonderful, wonderful event, and that some of the things that I was working on and changing for my own business, I had a lag time of about an hour. I went and bought 15 new domains.
All right.
For different things, and some were misspellings because that's what people do.
Yes.
And so you do that as a redirect. But one of the other essential things, so on that nav bar, which is the about, we're suggesting putting your name on it. Kelly's suggesting putting the frequently asked questions. And you want that on a nav bar, Kelly?
It depends. Sometimes some people may want that on the main navigation. Other times you might want it to be more of a sub-page, underneath. So once again, it just kind of also depends on what your focus is, and maybe depending on what your specialty or subject area happens to be. If it's something that maybe people get a little confused about, you may want your FAQ page to be a little more present then on your website.
Excellent. And so that's one of the things I can tell you. I'm going to actually go in and do an updated one, and one of the frequently asked questions is going to be, even though I have a blog on how to get my Library of Congress number, yes. I'm going to put it in an FAQ. I can't tell you how many times people come to do that. So that could easily go under services. And that, is a possibility.
Yes.
Or it could be, you're never quite sure where, but it's going to go into those areas. Yes. So, I think that's a good idea. The other thing is that there could be media pages. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer if you do any kind of events, or maybe you want to have your calendar. If you're out there doing book signings or speaking, get that on there.
Yes.
if you have any media coming in, maybe a media buzz page. And then certainly a shopping or store. And Kelly, is there a better word or a favored word that's being used now?
I'm still, for the most part, I know I've tried to look around to see if there are any updates or if people are using something different. And it still tends to be, shop or store, I think, because most people just really identify and they know right away, that's what that is. So I haven't seen any significant changes with that at the moment.
Okay. So store or shop, one of the two. And you have that. And then you want to have a blog tab that kind of stands alone. Now, for me, I have a resources that I, have a bunch of things that I recommend. Like I have a whole section on my website at thebookshepherd.com for publishing providers that I recommend, that I vetted.
Yes.
And I don't get money from them. I just think they're good people to work with, and I don't have hiccups, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So you have that. And we have our radio show. It's under podcast that we have. That's a resource. So be smart here, but there's also something called social media. Now, where should that go, Kelly?
Exactly. And so social media, just very briefly, and referring back to the website, since we were just talking about blogs, blogs are social media. It's that dynamic content that you're, getting out there on a consistent basis. And as Judith mentioned, it's really important to be consistent with that. So not only with your blogs, but with your social media. So, that's a nice segue into us also talking about some of the branding and things to be aware of when you're looking at your social media accounts. So a couple things just to tie in. One thing that I'm not sure a lot of people have really realized this, or maybe even taken advantage of this feature, but in Facebook, since we've been talking about your branding, on your Facebook pages, when you have that for your book or your business, the main cover image that you would typically see at the very top, you can actually have that be a video now instead of just a static image. So the video, if you choose to do that for your cover background on a page, it's 20 to 90 seconds long. So it is, it's going to be very brief, but it's just another great way to really, have people have that know, like, and trust factor with you, and see you up there on the top of your Facebook page.
Well, and what, Kelly, you mentioned video. Let's come back to the website. I actually went through one day, and I wasn't having the best hair day that day. But anyway, for whatever reason, I was motivated to, or maybe inspired to going through each section on my website.
Exactly.
Doing a short video that we then, now when people click on it, the video will pop up, and one's only 15 seconds. The home page or about would be a little bit longer in that, but those are something that we would encourage all of you to do and get those embedded.
Absolutely. Because actually, one other tip in tying into that, when you're doing a video and you're recording it, especially like that, what they call the talking head video, where you're speaking directly to the camera, one of the video SEO tips that they recommend, especially for YouTube, is speaking your primary keyword phrase. Once again, if you have some of those keyword phrases, speaking that at the beginning, middle, or toward the end of your video as you're recording. So that's another great way to get some search engine optimization in there.
All right. And here's another idea, since you just mentioned YouTube and I mentioned blogs just a bit ago. Have you thought about, and I've been thinking about this, and I said, I need to just start doing this, is you wrote it, why don't you just talk into your camera and talk about it, and have it like a tip that goes on, and you can put it into your YouTube channel.
Exactly. Especially since YouTube is the second most used search engine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, though they like it.
That's right.
All right, Kelly, let's just, I know we have, it seems like we move up really fast on our, on our breaks, but I'd like to do a KISS for creating book trailers on the cheap.
Yes.
And it's been a while since I've actually played with this tool that you first introduced me to. So let's talk about Animoto a little bit.
Sure, no problem. As you mentioned, Animoto is one of our favorite tools to be able to use in creating videos, in particular book trailer videos, or just what we've mentioned. Maybe there's a new program or your book that you want to promote or a product. It's a very user-friendly, straightforward service, which is also why we like it, because when you go into your Animoto account, it's basically in 3 steps that it will help you to go ahead and create a video. So you can go ahead and upload static, just images, or you can use video clips. You can do a mix of that. And then you'll type in, different wording and content that you would like to go and be displayed throughout the video. A couple of the other great features about Animoto, in addition, is that you can choose to have their system make a couple of those static images pop, and they call it like a highlight. So you can just put a yellow highlighted box around it, which means you want that image in particular to stand out a little bit more when the video itself is being generated and created. But one of the most important things too, once again, since we're talking about branding and making sure people can find you online, whenever you're creating a video, whether it's a book trailer video, a program, a product, make sure at the end of that video that you literally type out the URL of your, most people will put their website instead of like a specific page on their site. Because once again, you just never know where people might see or find this video. And there might not always be a description, for example, that they see below your video. They may literally just be playing the video. So by making sure that you have the URL to your website at the end, if people, they loved your video, it really resonated with them, they'll know right away where they can go to find you and find more information about you.
Right. So let me make this suggestion. Whenever you're looking at your website URL or your email, that Kelly's heard me rag on this one, but please use upper and lowercase letters. So if it, like I'm Judith Briles, so capital J, capital B. Kelly Johnson, capital K, capital J. Cornerstone VA, I would capitalize the C, capitalize the S, and I would capitalize both the VA. The Book Shepherd, capitalize T, B, and S. And with that, we're going to take our final break, and we'll be back with some more great tips.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. And this show is all about author success. Every once in a while, I like to do a few of these throughout the year because that's really, to me, what it's all about. And, of course, one of the key components of being successful as an author is you need to recognize this is a business. It's business. And you have to treat it like a business and know that there's hopefully revenues, but there's always expenses tied with it. And that one of the things that I had come forward with, and I told Kelly I wanted to bring it up as we look at some of our other goodies, is really to lead into some essential questions that I think is important because these are things that always amaze me that authors don't have the answers so readily as they should. And there's lots of components that go into a successful book and a successful author, for a successful rollout. But there are three questions and they're essential. And the first one is, who are you writing for? Mm-hmm. Or did you write for your book for, if you're in past tense? Mm-hmm. Who is the book for? That's the target reader, your target buyer. And then the next question is, where do they hang out on the internet and in purpose? Why do you care? Because it's called book marketing. So you keep focused and you don't get caught up in what I call the BB gun approach, where it just scatters every which way. Mm-hmm. The narrow. And I've said this so many times, the more you niche yourself, the bigger the market you can control and command. And then the third question is, can you summarize your book in less than 30 seconds? Better yet, 15.
Yes.
But this is about pitching. The pitch is to lure and hook the listener and buyer. So those components are just really essential. And I have to tell you, for me, not a day goes by that I don't get the deer in the headlight response, stumbling with words, descriptions, mm-hmm. not being able to respond with any clarity, much less quickly. So you need to start with, who are you writing for? And by the way, it's not everyone, all right? But you may say, okay, so you're going to narrow to everyone. Let's say that you tell me, I'm writing for women. Okay. All right. So it's a good broad, basic category, but it's not just all women. So this is what we have to do. So it may be for women, but which women? Are they young? Are they over 50? Is the childbearing clock ticking? Are they divorced? Are they working? Do they do homeschool kids? Do they work at nickel and dime jobs? Do they have more than one job? Have they gone through cancer or any other life-threatening situations? Do they have a specific type of cancer? Are they single and loving it, or they're desperately looking for someone? Are they serial lovers? Do they have affairs or want to? Right. How about, where do they work? Are they specific to the healthcare industry? Were they wild girls in college? Maybe they've had an abusive background. Do they carry deep, dark secrets? Do they want to get married, or do they want to get unmarried? Do they want to be kept? Are they addicted? What are they addicted to? Were they raised in cults? Did they escape, or did they love it? Are they women who just want to have fun? Are they hoarders? Do they love to cook? Do they hate to cook? Do they credit card binge? Do they love animals? Do they run? Do they fill in the blank? You get the picture. All right, that's what dive down. Dive down. The more you know who you're writing for, what their hopes, what their dreams are, what their hiccups, what their fears are, what their pain is, I'm telling you, you have much greater a chance of having a home run in your book marketing and sales. Kelly, what's your experience? You know, when you do a lot of work with social media and you work with websites for your authors, you know, how many of them really come in so generic and general that you're not sure what they're doing?
Right. That does tend to happen. And once again, I can understand, especially when people think of a website and just thinking of technology in general, it feels overwhelming, and people aren't always sure where to start. So I think what you just mentioned, Judith, about really for authors in particular, diving down into thinking about who your target audience is, because the more specific, like with all those great questions and, examples that you just listed for people to consider about their target audience, that just helps you think about, as you said, what's their pain? What is it, something that they need help resolving? And you can come up with different ways of how you can help them get past that challenge or resolve this issue. And that's also what we want to reflect on the website, because we want to show what you're all about and have those specifics really come out, and not, it's fine to start a little generally and think about some of the general aspects, with like branding and colors and obviously a brief bio. But once again, we want to be more specific so that we can really also help you stand out in that regard online as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's what's really important. My take on this, Kelly, is, hey, if the reader for the book is not alive in the author's mind, hey,
right.
It's like yesterday's poop, flush it.
Right.
All right, that's it.
See, once again, that's the great thing about the writing and author community. We can come up with all these creative words too and descriptions that we want to use.
Okay, so let's talk about curation a little bit, Kelly.
Yes.
You and I are a fan of something called Paperly, paper.li,
yes.
Paperly. And what it does is it allows the author or anybody to create a newspaper. It's a shorty. Yes. And it's not that you have to get up and write this thing every day. You could do it once a day. You could do it weekly. You could do it monthly, which I wouldn't recommend because you're out of sight, out of mind. But it's a curation, meaning that you can identify peers or
yes.
top influencers in your genre, and you can do a click over and you can say follow this blog. Follow this Twitter feed or follow this Facebook feed. And that each I don't know what the cutoff time when before Paperly goes to press, so to speak, but they will curate other people's material, including your own, by the way. You always put in follow yourself.
Exactly.
And that it takes an hour to an hour and a half to get your set up, and then it becomes, let me tell you, out of sight, out of mind. And
absolutely.
This little goodie going out to your feeds. So I'm a big fan of using that.
Yes, and one of the other things about Paperly as well, since you mentioned, Judith, back about like your advisory board that you have listed on your website, as you said, with Paperly, we love that we can put in, a different blog feed. You can even put in hashtags, websites, what you want to have it pull in for the curation of the content. But this is another great way where, once again, like on your advisory board, since if those people that have blogs, you can add their blogs, into your Paperly to help, once again, demonstrate their expertise and see all that great content. So you're helping to sort of reinforce your community as well and being in supportive of all these different great services that we all offer.
And that's, yes, and I love doing that. I love supporting other people. So I'm just encourage all of you. And then everyone, you're going to add it to your website.
Absolutely. And Paperly also lets you connect with, for example, like Mailchimp, a couple of different services like that, so that when people come to your Paperly and they want to subscribe, you can have that name and email directed into, that particular service that you're using.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Mailchimp, because I just got a notice yesterday saying that Mailchimp is dumping their double opt-in. Did you see that?
I did. I just saw that came through.
Okay, so what's that mean for all of you? It means less pain in the neck. So if someone goes on and does a clicko that they want to subscribe to your blog, or they want to get your opt-in piece, which we need to talk about, that they don't have to go back to their email and opt in again and reconfirm it.
Yes.
Once you do it once, ta-da, it's done. So I love that. And Mailchimp is a service that you can do, and you can get if you have less than 2,000 emails. If it is still 2,000, Kelly?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if it's less than 2,000 emails that you have collected, you can get it for free. Once you go over 2,000, you'll start paying. But a lot of people, when you're baby steps, it works.
Exactly.
And it's a fairly easy system to take advantage of. All right, so Kelly, we have like just a couple of minutes left. I think we need to KISS opt-in, and that's what really made me trigger Mailchimp.
Yes.
That one of the things, and we're going to go back to your website because I'm going to do a sandwich. We started with the website. We're going to come back to it. One of the things I think that's essential for author success is that you have some kind of an opt-in piece, a freebie. It could be a cheat sheet. It could be, a strange facts, strange facts, or stranger than fiction when it comes to romance writing, something like that. And that the people who are your followers, your niche market, will click on that to get it free, to find out what you hack. And you know what? The way they get it is they give you their email. Voila. The purpose of your website is 1, to collect emails, 2, to provide content, and 3, to develop trust between you and the audience. All right. Always remember that.
Absolutely. And once again, another great place for your branding, because if it's a cheat sheet, as Judith mentioned, that you're doing, when they print it out, they might go ahead and share that, and let other people know about you. You've got your branding on there. And just remember, at the bottom of whatever your opt-in, freebie happens to be, the cheat sheet, resource, how-to tip, at the bottom, have a brief paragraph where you might want to highlight a couple of main programs or services that you offer, so that once again, you're helping people kind of think about other things that you offer and demonstrating your expertise as well.
And that's a huge plus. So these are really, I think these are essential tools for your author success. That's the newspaper, the opt-in sheet, making sure you have all the right components of your website. Make sure it's contemporary. You go back and you revisit, and you don't want it stagnant. You don't want to just put it up and never go back and tweak it to it. You need to have new information coming along all the time. And with that, Johnson, I want to thank you for being with me once again.
Well, thank you. It's always a delight, and I always enjoy having this opportunity to speak with you.
You're welcome. And if you want to hear Kelly and I, we're going to be speaking together on November 4th in Denver. Go to the authoru.org website, click on events. With that, publishing, here's to your success.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week